record. I'm going to start up the music. And we will finally get started. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not care about the lighting. I apologize. If that bugs you. And I also apologize for the noise in the background, though not really. Welcome to my explanation of the rating of Cold Steel 2. This music is way too epic for this game. Just point blank, it is way too epic. I didn't much care for this game. Yeah. Needless to say, final story score of +8, and a gameplay score that ended at -46. Yeah. Needless to say, this game, if it hadn't been for Millium, me remembering Millium's positives were too low, yeah, this score would be rant view worthy. I didn't like Cold Steel 2. And honestly, if you want any more proof that when I first started this review system, when I started this with Cold Steel 2, this whole Wolf's Den thing with Cold Steel 2, that I was pulling my punches, look no further. +8 -46. Do I even need to explain myself? This is the only game, and I mean this sincerely, this is the only game where when I do the numbers at the end of all of this, to tell you, we had a such and such amount of points per session, yeah, that total is going to be in the negatives, as the score is sitting at a net -38. It just barely missed the rant view status mark, which means I would have been pulling this as a rant view. If I were to do this now, if I were to do a video on Cold Steel 2 now, I'd be saying that. I'd be like, yeah, no, Millium saved this game from rant view status. Millium did. Think about that for a second, right? It took freaking Millium, one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise, to save this fucking game, right? But anyways, let's get started. Herded 14 sessions. Max bonding points was the only real full-on cheat I used. Turbo mode is a feature at this point. Moving on. Story positives. So, yes, the total was the net worth was +8. This story is not very good, but we can get into that more in the negatives. Let's talk about what actually was positive about this thing, and it's mostly presentation, as you might imagine. First of all, the backstory section. This is a good refresher for all of the events of Cold Steel 1. It is a lot more in-depth than the one that was found in Azure. So, this one even gives you details of the audio drama that was Japan exclusive. You can actually go to the website Trails of Cold Steel 2 and actually find a script of the audio drama. So, yeah. I don't know if it's English subtitled, but I do believe you can find the audio drama itself on YouTube. So, there you go. If it's not subtitled, I'd recommend having the script on hand in order to, do so. So, speaking of Millium helping, humor was still a triple positive despite everything. Mostly because of Millium, and mostly because I just adore this cast, and I find them funny. So, also, good use of Devil May Cry effect. Once again, owing to the cast being good, Also, fitting song for this. This is Law of the Battlefield. Yes, this is Law of the Battlefield. This is effectively Xeno and Leo's theme. They were a good source of Devil May Cry effect in this game, so there you go. Active Voice is back. I love Active Voice. Voice acting, once again on point. Most of the time, we'll get to that later. Only one positive this time for voice acting, because of some of the voice acting choices that were just... I'll put it to you this way. I'll put it to you this way. When the voice acting is good, it's awesome. When it's bad, it's a negative we'll get to. So, well, a couple of negatives we'll get to. So, yeah. Voice direction was still decent. The music direction works for the most part. Good sprite work, once again. And good foreshadowing, good visual storytelling, good doodad usage, good gameplay story integration, Lindblom effect, good NPC chatter, good banter. Yeah, 19 positives, all for presentation alone. This is a Trails game, that should not be surprising, right? The side quests this is another down-to-earth side quest positive, so good. External continuity, 3 pluses, admittedly, mostly because of the differences brought about by transferring over your Cold Steel 1 data. So, yeah. Good world building in the divestment chapter. Yes, it took until the fucking divestment chapter for me to feel like the world building was worth a damn. And I stand behind that. Like, seriously, what the actual hell, you know? Good use of internal continuity, as it did feel like we were progressing through the story, so that's good. The paired victory quotes are back, and just as good as Cold Steel 1. Now we can get into the characters. All of that was just presentation, so 26 total presentation positives. Alright, so Rean kind of dipped a little bit. He's only 2 positives. The problem is that the quality of his characterization is a bit lacking, honestly, in this game compared to Cold Steel 1. And admittedly, that is 99% of the prologue's fault, of the intro's fault. Because holy fuck does he suck in the intro. Like, Jesus. You would be forgiven for not liking Rean in this game based solely upon the prologue. He does get better, hence his 2 positives, but good lord, that does not save the prologue from forcing him to have negatives. Holy shit. You know? Toval continues to be awesome. Even if there's not a lot of growth for him, sometimes it just helps to just have an awesome character be an awesome character. I don't need all of my characters to go through a character arc. If they're awesome, I just need them to be awesome, you know? Okay, despite the incest thing, I do think Elfin is a good character. So, good stuff. I liked Rean's parents. They were a plus each. Rean's mother was, with hiding how worried for her children she is. And Rean's father, just the neutrality. And the establishment of his friendship with Viscount Arcade is just good stuff. When I first played this series, I wasn't expecting Valimar to be a character, but here we are. He is a character, he is a plus. Okay, so despite the awful writing of the intro, Vita is a decent character throughout the game. Rufus is honestly an interesting character, and the reveal about him later is also good too. That scene has shit tons of problems, but we can get into that later. Crow continues to be awesome, so that's good. And I like that he sees Duke Cayenne's bullshit for what it is. Arrogance. Machias. Machias is engaging and awesome. Absolutely. Love him. It's awesome. Yeah. And his intelligence is even on full display even before he comes on screen through the newspaper boy and that. So that's good stuff. Elliot continues to be awesome. Fee is another triple positive, mostly because of mostly because of her interactions with Xeno and Leo. Great stuff. Speaking of which, Xeno and Leonidas. I kind of like them as effectively Fi's uncles. There's just something engaging about how overprotective they are. Reen tries to get info out of them. The conversation immediately veers into, "Ooh, you haven't touched Fi, have you? You haven't been inappropriate towards Fi, have you?" Meanwhile, in my OC mode character, Zach is just like, and what makes you think my genitals would survive if I did? Good point. Yeah, that sounds like Fi, alright. Why? Anyways. Elliot's dad continues to be awesome. Some look. I don't care that he's voiced by Sean Schemmel. Emil, I look at the character, damn it. Anyways, Gaius, once again, triple positive. How could I not? Continues to be a bro, and god damn it, I freaking love it. He just continues to be an awesome pillar of support the entire game. Love him. 3 positives. Don't care if I stand alone. Elisa, another 3 positives. Seriously, her characterization and growth are just awesome. I don't know how else to describe that. Milliam, this was what I was referring to earlier when I said she saved this game from Rampview status. As yes, I was like, wait a minute, why should I deny her triple positive territory? And that saved her from saved this game from Rampview status. So there you go. So there you go. Gwen continues to be awesome. Also, shame on me for taking until the Ruhr operation in Act 2 to remember that. Sharon is awesome. I don't care. Sharon is awesome. You are not going to convince me otherwise. Laura, gave her another 3 positives this time, as I still love her character so much. Sure, she doesn't have a lot of direct plot relevance, but I really like her dynamic. Her dynamics and friendships with Emma, Reen, and especially Fi. So yeah, I went ahead and gave her triple positive. Speaking of triple positives, this time I actually gave Emma a triple positive, as honestly, I love how much growth that she has, and that her dynamics with the rest of Class 7 is just awesome. And her interactions with Vita are just gold, in my opinion. Eustace got a plus in spite of his self-loathing bullshit, which we'll touch on in the negatives, but he still continues to be a bro, so I have to give him some credit for that. Sarah continues to be awesome. Viscount Arcade continues to be awesome. Prince Olivert is always a treat. Toa is once again a triple positive. I literally did not need an elaborate explanation as to why Toa is a triple frickin' positive. Like, just straight up, I don't need to explain why Toa, the adorable ball of adorable that is Toa is a triple positive. Don't at me. If you give her less than 3 positives, you're a monster. The end. I'm sorry. Alright, it is the truth. God damn it. We'll see if I'm a monster in Cold Steel 4. Anyways, George continues to be a good support. I love Instructor Thomas. I laugh almost every time he's on screen. Angelica continues to be awesome. Arena continues to be awesome. So that's cool. And that's it for characters that I like in this game. Because now it's time to get into scenes that I actually ended up enjoying. So, the scene at the end of the prologue showing Rufus, Duke Cayenne, and Crow is honestly good. Even if not all the characters present are great, in my opinion. Then there's the opening, which really works. And it does well to foreshadow without doing too much spoiling. So I actually kind of like that. Good stuff. Cat being dumb again. Reen bidding his mother farewell at the start of Act 1. That's a good scene. We'll get it out of our way, stupid. Anyway, sorry. Reen bidding his mother farewell in Act 1 is a great scene. Really shows not only how much she cares about her children, but that she understands that she has to let Reen do this. She's not one of those helicopter parents. Shush, cat. Because a helicopter parent would be like, no, I'm going to protect my child from all danger. Meanwhile, the world is blowing up around them. Chi-Chi. Fuck. Yeah, I'm sorry. There are certain times where a parent really needs to learn their kid's super powerful. Let them be super powerful, you moron. And Reen's mother understands that. Moving on. Okay. This might be a little weird to praise, as it could be seen as Mary Sue territory, but I actually kind of like Valimar being able to sense all of Class 7 all over Erebonia right at the start of Act 1. And he can't sense which specific members of Class 7 are where. I like that. I like that if I'm honest. But it's a fantastic showcase of the power of the Divine Knights, right? And I like that he can even sense their vitals, right? Again, he can't pinpoint exactly who it is, but he can tell us they're in these locations, they're okay. So, cool. So, the reunion with Machias is great. A lot of the reunions are pluses, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The one with Machias was great. Elliot and Fee, that was sweet and wonderfully heartwarming. The reunion with Gaius, hell yeah. Elisa and Millium was my favorite one, and I gave it 3 positives. Because, honestly, it's also, it's even better when you bring Claire. Yes, Claire to Nord. But the real strength, though, is in Elisa's reaction, especially if she was Reen's paramour. Bad? No. Oh my god. I didn't even proofread this. Back in Cold Steel 1. So, yeah. Triple positive. Positive. The reunion with Laura and Emma. Well handled. 2 positives for Reen encouraging Emma and saying that she belongs in Class 7 regardless of her secrets and duties. I love this because it is so true. Because Emma's under this impression that everybody's going to follow the liar reveal trope, right? I've been lying to you, and now you can't trust me. Oh, fuck that, Emma. You're a member of Class 7. Fuck the liar reveal trope. Hope you're one of us, damn it. I like that. I like the reunion with Eustace. It shows that Eustace is flawed, and I do love that Reen's speech. Which leads to their duel. Great stuff, because Eustace is like, yeah, no, I'm not joining you. I can't. I got things to do here. And Reen just says, oh, bullshit. What are you actually accomplishing here? Basically. Right? Come on. Right? I like the scene where you can meet with one of your allies in the hot spring after Breahard. Oh, whoops. I missed a scene. After the party gets back from Oryx Canyon is actually nice and wholesome and fun. That's a cool scene. Then there's the heart-to-heart in the hot spring, which is great. Even is a nice touch. Well, because admittedly, some of Reen's dialogue is annoying. It's still a nice scene that shows the bond he has with said ally. So you basically can pick. It's basically a way to say, no, this is really what really the paramour from the last game, right? So, then there's so this is when we start getting into bonding events and chains being pluses. Even right from the beginning, Milliams was just a plus immediately, as it is a fantastic dive into her character and shows the complexity therein. Especially the bit where she talks about being a game piece for Osborn, like she was okay with that, is wonderfully dark. The Lore Runner has a term for this. It's called Dragon Quest effect. Milliam is walking Dragon Quest effect, because if you actually peer into her story, it's dark. It is incredibly dark when you think about it. But it's quietly dark. It's not in your face dark. It's just, oh yeah, by the way, she's a slave. And she's okay with that because, she hasn't seen any other way of life. Yeah. Speaking of dark, Eric, Crow's Past. Whew. Yeah. Then this is all the intermission chapter. After Reen so Crow talking about his past, Reen discussing Fee with Zeno and Leo. Reen reuniting with Alphen, and then there's the whole escape that Reen has with Alphen. Even if Altina annoys the piss out of me, we'll get to that in the negatives. Then there's the Calvary moment, where Reen is saved by the Courageous. God, that was so cool. That was just awesome. That whole scene, just yes. Then the scene where they turn over the Courageous to Class 7. It is a bold move on Oliver and Victor's part. It's great stuff. Then we don't get any positives until Sharon saves Irina from the Jaeger leader. I love how badass Sharon is in that scene, but it also shows how badass Irina is, since she didn't even flinch with a gun in her face. Like, if Sharon wasn't as quick as she was, dead. Now, granted, that's also partially because, that wasn't the Jaeger's orders, but yeah. Excuse me. So, Irina's beatdown on Heidel. I admit this one is probably one I'm going to stand alone on, and I would understand if I did, but this was such a satisfying beatdown, especially after that fucking boss fight. Holy crap. So, yeah. Oh, and, this was simultaneously 3 positives, and it kept Heidel from being only 1 negative, so that works. Okay. Then there's the duel between Angelica and her father, Marquis Ragnar. I love that, because it says more about Marquis Ragnar's character than any bit of characterization he's had before that, Let's get a better sound for this. That's... Oh. What do we got? Oh. Come on, give me a better song. No. No. Oh. Almost. Yeah. No. 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 This works. This is the song I want. Assessing the burning of Keldic. Just straight up, the burning of Keldic. This got a positive before too, but I was like, yeah, no, this deserves a triple positive going through it again because this is a fantastic scene and shows that Duke Alberea is just pure fucking evil. And stupid evil at that. This is the one time I'm supposed to hate Duke Alberea's guts. And to its credit, well, everything about the motive behind this whole thing is stupid as all fuck. This is how you make an impactful scene. This is how you do a shock death right. You make it devastating. And they make sure you understand just how fucking depraved of an action this is. It is insane. I can't really say anything more than that. Then there's Crow's appearance at Oryx Fort, which is fantastic at showing that, well, he doesn't really regret what he's doing. The situation with him isn't completely black and white. He was in the perfect spot to take out either Reen, the Courageous, or both, and he did neither. Excuse me. And that speaks volumes about his character. I like that. 2 positives. That isn't a villain being resentful. That is somebody who doesn't actually want to kill the hero. Good stuff. Toa's bonding event chain got 2 positives. Love the exploration of her character. Machias' bonding event in Bereahard, which is the final one. And it's great at showing just how much Otto's death during the burning of Keldic hit him. And I love that. I love that whole thing. Elliot is another dive into his chain dives into his love of music. Love that. Elisa's bonding event in Bereahard. Yeah, triple positive. I freaking love how awesome that scene is. Triple positive. Also, god damn it, Valimar, you cockblocker. Then there's Sarah's bonding event in Bereahard. Or I shouldn't call it the final bonding event, but like the penultimate bonding event. But the bonding event in Bereahard is another excellent. It is another excellent one. Alphen's is also a good one. And that speech she makes to the assholes in the sermon. Fuck, I love that scene. God, I love that scene. She's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. No! No! Adios will probably look at that and go, yeah, no, I'm not saying shit about that. Hey, you do you, girl. These ignorant masses need to be need a good fucking backhand. And you gave it to them. Good job. Then there's the side quest Hearts in Harmony, which is the one where we hold a concert for the people of Keldic. I love that scene. That was a triple positive scene, absolutely. I adore the hidden quest Father's Pocket Watch. Great dive into Elisa and how much she cared for her dad. Great stuff. I love the pledge that Qrow makes to drag Qrow back to the academy and force him to graduate. This is specifically the one where he declares it to Toa, Angelica, and George. So, good. Reen's heart-to-heart with Valimar and Trista. That is honestly my favorite scene in the entire game. It shows Valimar's growth as a character. Reen's growth reinforces the theme of the entire series about being that being the value and loyalty of a team. Like, I love that scene. That is a fantastic scene. I gushed about that scene during the stream. Absolutely. Now we actually get into the final bonding events. Elliot's. Great stuff. Machias. Hell yeah. Especially the part where his prejudice isn't just going to disappear overnight. Good stuff. Eustace. His pride didn't fade, but it shifted into a more ideal version of itself, so... yeah. Gaius' final bonding event just continues to show why I love Gaius so much. And why he is my favorite male Trails character. For the record, he is my third favorite Trails character ever. And he is my... And he is my favorite male character. Don't get me wrong, Lloyd and Randy come really fucking close. They are basically tied for 4th place. If I had to put a stamp on it. And then Joshua is like right on... Oliver and Joshua are like right on their heels. I love Oliver, no question. But man, Lloyd and Randy really surprised me. But yeah, no. Gaius is my favorite male character. So, then there's Elisa's final bonding event. The confession feels natural. The chemistry between the two works wonderfully. And it feels like a perfect capstone to everything. Also, I like that there's no baggage hanging over this scene, like with Ellie and Azure, right? Because, yeah, okay, they still kind of are like, they're still kind of, about that whole incident, right? Oh. No, that can be dealt with later. Anyways, they're still kind of, about that whole scene, right? About that whole thing, right? But at the same time, there isn't the baggage of, it's not like, for example, Lisa was fucking treating Reen like absolute dog shit for 2 fucking games, unlike Ellie. And no, I am never letting that fucking feminazi subplot of Lloyd being a perv for being polite go. Never letting that go. That is bullshit. I will never let that go. This is the hill I will fucking die on. We'll see how Ellie is in Cold Steel 4, but I'm not holding out hope. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go. Be honest. Ellie in Cold Steel 4 is fighting an uphill battle. And Elisa's final bonding event in Cold Steel 2 is the example of that. Example of why. It's also why I cannot call the SSS my favorite Trails team. I can't. I'm pretty sure I said it in the Azure rating video, but yeah. Ellie's garbage is why Class 7 still takes the gold for me. Followed very closely behind by Estelle's team. Oh yeah, I'm going that far. They are my least favorite team. Trails team, so far. Easily. Obviously, I haven't played the Kuros, but that's beside the point. Okay. Emma's final bonding event. That's all good. Fee's final bonding event is beautiful, and it demonstrates the truth I hold firm to this day. that family is chosen. True family. So, I'll admit it. Milliam's final bonding event, I'll admit it. It hit me. Milliam is as adorable as ever, and her pain at having to fight Crow and not understanding why she feels that way is just as heartbreaking as it is well written. It is perfect. It is perfect. Perfect. Not perfect enough to warrant multiple pluses, but it is just, it is a good cap to her character. So that's good. Sarah. Okay. In a way, it may seem weird because of the whole student-teacher dynamic, but I don't know. I feel like it's natural enough that a relationship could develop in the future. You know? I like that idea. You know? Give it a couple of games. Toa's final bonding event. Yeah. Toa's adorable and strong in her own way. Absolutely love it. Laura. Okay, this is easily my favorite. Laura's shaky confession, where she is struggling to get the words out. Reen's beautiful reciprocation of those feelings. And honestly, this is some of the best voice work I have heard from Sean Chiplock in the whole series. I'll just go ahead and be honest about it. Make all the stupid pronouncements about the voice actor that you want, and get it out of your fucking system, Steve. But this is why I look at the performance, not the voice actor. Because this is how you do... This is great stuff. Triple positive. Absolutely. So. Alright. So. Despite the Gary student nature of it, this is getting into the Infernal Castle now. What little I have positive to say about the Infernal Castle. Despite the Gary Stu nature of it, I do like the aftermath of the last Xeno and Leo fight. The respect, the rescue, the answer that foreshadows Cold Steel 3, where they give a hint of what the hell they're trying to do. And hell, even the Gary Stu part, as much as it's just like, oh my god, really? You got back up? I kind of like it. I kind of like it. So, positive there. Viscount Arcade saving Class 7 from McBurn is awesome. And I love the joke I make every time I see that scene. Allow me to present you the gimmick of Cold Steel 3, which, funny enough, wasn't actually done all that much in Cold Steel 3. Weirdly enough, it was only done a handful of times. Kind of funny. Then in hindsight, it was done like 4 or 5 times. I still call it a gimmick of Cold Steel 3, but there it is. Oh, I even mentioned it. I also like the foreshadowing of the gimmick of Cold Steel 3 that Cold Steel 3 will run with, namely Reen being interrupted when he tries to call Valimar. It's great because it's only one time here in Cold Steel 1, but it's like all the damn time in Cold Steel 3. It's kind of funny in that regard. I need appropriate music. Give me a sec. This'll work. It's not the best choice, but... Crow's death. Okay. I can't take away from this scene because of the sins I cannot take away this from the scene just because this game sins so goddamn hard. Cold Steel 3. I can't. I did just realize you probably didn't see that. See what I held up. I held up Cold Steel 3. I can't hold this scene accountable for the crimes of Cold Steel 3. I can't. That's mean of me. And it takes away from a fantastic scene that is just brilliant. It is the best scene in the game, hands down. Crow's final words are wonderful, and I adore the clever bit of sense-making with Emma's magic, making it so that basically all Emma's magic is doing is just making sure he can get his final words out. That's it. Giving him his final moment. That's it. That's all. Hot damn. It keeps Emma and magic in general away from Mary Sue territory, and honestly, I love that. Triple positive. Speaking of triple positives, the divestment chapter. I love the divestment chapter. And it is a great example of why I was so angry at the Crossbell arc when I finally got to it. The snippets of flavor for Risha and Lloyd. They are so good. It honestly makes the frustrating slog of Trails from Zero all the more asinine and dumb, right? Hell, even in Azure, it took us forever for Risha to be a fucking party member, and that was dumb. That was straight up dumb, in my opinion. I feel like she should have become a party member near the end of Zero and continue to be a party member in Azure, right? Like maybe reveal that she's, maybe have Kilika endorse her as like yes, she is part of covert unit in from Calvard, wink, that kind of thing. I don't know. You'd have to restructure it, but yeah, no. Or maybe even have all of that, all of the crap from the final chapter happen earlier, right? Exercise some of the dumber bits. Cough, cough, Demon World, cough, cough. Ah, well. Divestment's still awesome. Still triple positive. And I also and actually I'm lying because it's technically 4 positives. Because I love the scene where Reen just lets Lloyd and Risha go. It is a great demonstration of his character, and I love that. He even gives a practical, lawful reason to let them go. You're not on the wanted list yet. Go. Get out of here. I like that. That's good stuff. Then there's the flavor changes during the epilogue, specifically with when Reen comes back. So that's good stuff. Reen's breakdown with Toa during the epilogue, when he goes to see her, that is the only bit of Reen's guilt that I actually buy for a millisecond. So, good stuff there. The brief snippets of what Class 7 will be doing after the events of the game, I like that. And all of this is followed up on in Cold Steel 3, so that's good. Angler management, good. I like that side quest. Even if it doesn't officially put Annabelle and Kenneth together, those two really need to just get together already. I mean, for God's sakes! Hey, for God's sakes, Lord Lakewood, your answer is staring you right in the face. His name is Kenneth. What the fuck? Anyways. Swimming lessons, the return. Not much else I can say about that. That's good stuff. Okay. Despite all the hoops you need to jump through to get to it, I like the Black Records scene. I love the reveal of Instructor Thomas as a member of the Gralsritter. And I like that the point of the scene was to make Reen aware of the wider scope of what was happening, right? And to hint at future events. 2 positives there. Also, credit where it's due. That credit sequence, the picture montage in the credits, triple positive. Not going to take away from that. Absolutely triple positive there. So. Alright. Now let's get to the story negatives, and there are oh so many. After all, 156 minus 8. And you'll know how many we have. Anyways. Alright, so, animations on the story front, they're bad. Ugh, they lack any kind of grand weight, and I feel like they just lack oomph. Which doesn't help that there's some bad story sequencing and some pretty crap storyboarding, in my opinion. Like, the blocking specifically just feels like, what the fuck? With a lot of scenes. So, yeah. I don't think the game uses its themes well. I feel like the writing is insipid at times. And speaking of insipid writing, oh boy, here we go. Selene. Alright, so nobody's going to agree with me on this. They will call her a hate sync character and go with it. No, this isn't a hate sync. I'm so angry that I scrolled my thing. Whoops. No, she is not a fucking hate sync. She is bad fucking writing. That is what she is. Right from the fucking get-go, she is condescending, but we're supposed to be on her side? She practically fucking gaslights. She does everything but fucking gaslight Rean, and I'm supposed to appreciate her? Kiss my ass, game. Triple negative. Which also led to the first of the 3 empty text negatives. Oh, and a triple negative for fake drama while we're on the subject. Owed mostly to Selene and Rean. Won the battle, lost the cutscene returns again. Elise is a triple negative because her entire characterization is her sexual tension with Rean. Barf. Moving on. Alphen added an additional 3 negatives because Jesus Christ, Alphen, stop it. Rean's pity party from the prologue. Ugh. Cutscene incompetence was a triple negative, thanks to the Infernal Castle. It's all over the game, but the one in the Infernal Castle just, ugh. We'll get to it. The attack on Ymir and Rean going berserk, awful scene. Especially with Baron Schwarzer surviving through the Kubo method, which is wolfism I am coining, saying where a character basically survives because another character says so in dialogue. You know, Toval examines him and says, "Your dad's gonna be fine, Rean." That's the Kubo method. They chickened out of killing him off. Fuck that scene. Noble Alliance targeting Elise on top of Alphen. I fucking hate that plot point. Triple negative. Worst fucking plot point. I bitched about it in the stream. A lot of this is I bitched about it on the stream. So that's why I'm just blazing through this, because I don't want to spend any more time on this than I need to. Okay. This one I gotta spend a little bit of time on, though. So, with the sole exception of maybe Cold Steel 4, this is the worst intro in the fucking series. And I don't know if the intro is going to be as bad. Like, admittedly, I probably... Okay. You know what? No. This is the worst intro in the series. Because I just remembered the tutorial dungeon of Cold Steel 4 exists. Well, the first tutorial dungeon, because there's technically 2. I hate the tutorial dungeon. I really do. I hate the second tutorial dungeon. I do. We'll get there. But let's look at how many negatives on the story axis we've got here. And you know what? I'm going to count all of it. okay? I'm gonna count even the presentation ones. So, you know what? Let's not. Let's not, actually. That's unfair. That's unfair. Never mind. Let's see. I'm not gonna count Celine. I'm not gonna count the fake drama, because or the empty text, because that's all the entire game. I won't count Won the Battle, Lost the Cutscene. I will, however, count Elise, because most of her irritation is in the fucking prologue. I will count Alphen, because her encouraging the incest is mostly in the fucking prologue. So we're up to 6. 7 for Reen's pity party. 8 for the attack on Ymir. Here. I'll be nice and I'll leave out the Noble Alliance targeting Elise. So we're still at 8. And then a triple negative for the intro itself. So, yeah. There you go. So that's 11 negatives. We'll see. So that is... Wait, I should double check that, actually. Again, not counting presentation or characters. Let's see. Okay, so we gotta add 3. Alright. So there you go. So it's 8, because we had to add 3 because of the opening and the scene on board the Pantagruel. Cool, right? So we'll see if Cold Steel 4 ends with a net negative, see if the intro itself can be marked at a -8 modification. If it does worse than that, it's the worst intro in the series. But if not, then Cold Steel 1 is. So, there you go. Because, yeah. Full of bad writing, full of bad direction, cutscene incompetence, the dumbest fuck plot points, as well as several examples of empty text, fake drama, and pointless self-pity in regard to Reen. God, I hate that intro. Triple negative. Duke Cayenne was 3. He drove me up a goddamn wall. Again, I don't care if you want to call this hate sync. When I'm not enjoying the main villain, that's fucking terrible. The main villain being badly characterized and fucking dipshit when the game is trying to make me believe that he's intelligent. No. The game is trying to make me believe that he is fucking smart enough to lead the fucking Noble Alliance. Kiss my ass. And yes, there are hints that that's not even remotely true, but no. The inconsistent voice acting is another triple positives. The contrivances that the plot needs to get the mech battles to happen is 2 negatives. 2 negatives for padding. There is just way too much padding in this story. Holy fuck. Speaking of padding, Aurelia and Bardius appearing in Legram. It's completely fucking pointless. Yeah, it tells them that Laura's dad is on the Courageous, but that's it, and we could have guessed that. Like, fuck off. It's a waste of screen time, and there is zero reason this couldn't have happened before the party arrived, you know? Like, make it a flashback or something, you know? Then there's Eustace's self-loathing. I said we'd get back to this. It feels like it's his entire character at times, and that's just shit. Plot elements are also repeated way too much. You know, Reen's guilt, Eustace's self-loathing, Celine being a bitch, etc., etc. That was bad enough for 3 negatives. I don't like McBurn. I feel like he's just one note in this game, and that feels dumb. He's better later, but at this as a big threat. But that's all he really is. It's just a threat. And I feel like until he starts being a threat, he's just boring, right? Then there's Duvally getting on my goddamn nerves to the tune of a triple negative. Look, I'm sorry. Alright, but if my if I am given a fucking headache from the fucking character, that's not a hate sink at that fucking point. That's a headache. Kiss my ass. Then there's Duke Alberea, who got 3 negatives. Like, especially with him burning Celtic. Like, seriously, how the fuck would that have advanced his position instead of killing it? Like it did? Ugh. And then there's the lead-in to the intermission chapter. So, Duke Cayenne sends all of his powerful forces, with the exception of Le Guin and Bardius. So he sends Crow, Vita, Zeno and Leo, Duvally, McBurn, and Rufus to Ymir. Just because he wants to talk with Reen. Crow would have been enough for that, you know. Like, maybe send Rufus because of the others, but come on. Like, fuck. Like, do you not even know what overkill is? Seriously. Seriously, Duke Cayenne. Ay, ay, ay. And then there was Celine protesting. Okay, game, fuck off. That is empty text. What choice did he fucking have? It was either accept the proposal or watch Ymir be burned to the fucking ground. Complete with McBurn standing right there. Actually, that works. Eric's Crow and McBurn. Done. So, then there's Reen and Duvally's discussion. I refuse to call that a heart-to-heart. Fuck that scene. Oh my god, fuck that scene. Duvally too often comes across as a character who is 2 seconds away from stripping naked and banging and fucking Reen. And that is bad characterization. Pick a fucking characterization and go with it, game. Fuck off already. Then there was Altina basically accusing Reen of being a pedophile. I am sick of these pervert jokes. Folks, this franchise is not fucking funny with them, because Reen is not a pervert, and it is just accusing Reen of being something that he's not for comedy. And quite frankly, I am so fucking sick of that in Japanese media that it's frankly fucking irritating. Which also led to Altina herself getting 2 negatives. This is the worst pacing I have ever seen in a story. In a JRPG story. Jesus Christ. It doesn't get really bad until Act 2, but it is still just, ow, fuck this pacing. Then there's being forced to talk to Toa constantly, which is just... Then there's the side quest Badass in Danger. That was the one where with I think it's the brother and sister that say we're going, put that point at a map and say go here. One of them ends up in Legram, one of them ends up in Ymir, and that whole fucking scene can just go to hell. That whole thing can just go to hell. Holy fuck. Then there's the Twin Dragons Bridge, which mostly based on the commander. I said we'd get to it in the negatives, and here we are. But like I said, when the voice acting is good, the voice acting is good. When it's bad, it's this asshole at the Twin Dragons Bridge. Idge. Where he rolls his R's and sounds like a fucking asshole. Jesus Christ. I can't even imitate how fucking awful the voice acting on him is. Jesus Christ. Who thought that sounded good? Did they just not care because it was a throwaway character? God. Then there's the tonal whiplash, and oh, fuck that whole section. Triple negative. Ugh. I don't like Heidel. He is such a pain. He's such a fucking dipshit. Then there's Vulcan interrupting Angelica. Ilk and her father's touching moment. It's the worst contrivance to get Reen and Valimar to fight. And it also leads to Vulcan's death, which was another negative. It felt hollow to me, if I'm honest. And I just don't like it. It's cheap. You're killing a character for the sake of killing a character. Oh, here's one that doesn't change anytime soon, and in fact, it gets worse. Professor Schmidt. One negative here, but that's just because he doesn't have, like, any screen time in this one. That will change in the sequel, trust me. Ugh. Then there's Margarita as being a disgusting stalker with the whole drugging the food thing. Ugh. Fuck off. Then there's the whole reveal that Sarah was part of the Northern Jaegers. That whole scene just feels off to me, and it's hard for me to fully explain why. Honestly, I think it's just because it is... I think it's just because as that whole scene just felt... It felt like it felt like it just broke the pace, right? Because that's when we're going to arrest Duke Alberea, you know? I don't know. I just feel like Sarah and the Northern Jaegers, that whole plot thread was handled better in Cold Steel 3, which we'll get to eventually. We'll get to in the next rating video. Then there's Duvalie admitting that she was just there to watch Oryx Fort fall. So why the fuck did you fight us then? Especially after you had just gotten your ass kicked by the SSS. As timeline-wise. Like, seriously, you were in Crossbell. Hell, you got your ass kicked by the SSS. Then you were told to come back to Erebonia, where Class 7 kicked your ass. What the fuck was the point of that? Look, Duvalie, if you want to entice Reen to bang you, wear a bikini and stop pointing your sword at him. Like, seriously. Then there's the arrest of Duke Alberea. I need a better song about this. Good enough. So, the arrest of Duke Alberea sucks. It is unsatisfying as fuck. Like, seriously, all that happens outside of the scenes with Duvalie is David Lodge gives the absolute worst line delivery I have ever heard from him. His "no" is so pathetic. It has no weight to it. There is no weight. I have heard David Lodge act, okay? This is why this pisses me off so goddamn much. I have heard that man in voice act. He is awesome. Kiss my ass. This game. Oh, and then Eustace announces that he's arrested, and that's it. Yeah, fuck. What a crock of shit. Triple negative. Then there's the whole discussion with the Azure about the Azure Tree. If Class 7 had any relevance to Azure's events, that would mean something. And they don't. So, 2 negatives. Also, I don't like the pointlessness of Le Guin and Bardius meeting with Rufus. It's stupid. Stupid. What the hell is the point of that? Then, oh god. Then there's Claire being surprised that the students want to take back Trista and Thors. I'm sorry, how fucking stupid do you have to be to not have seen that coming? I fucking hate that. You've worked with these people! You knew that was their goal! Oh, you were in the meeting where they announced that! Kiss my goddamn ass! Actually, no, she wasn't in the meeting where they announced that, were they? Still, come on, common sense, Claire. Fucking use it. Speaking of the liberation of Trista, yeah, it's a triple negative. The Order of the Lion is dispatched as quickly as it was introduced. Patrick's stance is a fucking light switch. It feels completely unearned, and Patrick has had zero presence in the entire game. And has had less to do with the main plot than Le Guin and Bardius. I'm sorry, how the fuck do you do that? Then you combine that with the weak presentation of the scene, and you get my pick for the worst scene in the whole game. Holy fuck, 3 negatives. Then there's Rean being needed to be reminded at the villa that he's not alone, which is just... What? Then there's Elise being on the Courageous, which is just fake drama to the max. X, look, game, just fucking... Just complete with it being cut short, too. Like, come on. Then there's storming Heimdall, which is meant to be this great cavalry moment, but it's sluggish and kind of awful. Also, the audio perspective is wonky, if I'm honest. Okay, so then we kick Duvali's ass, and she gets right back up, just because she is such a sore loser that she has to pull some Mary Sue shit to be threatening. Okay, at least with McBurn there's a logic to it, and even with Zeno and Leo, I don't like it, but at least I can kind of excuse it because the scene is awesome. This has neither thing going for it. Because with McBurn there's a logic of him suddenly powering up and taking things seriously, because that's his character. He doesn't exert any more pressure than he needs to until something lights his fire, so to speak. So, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm sick of fucking plot armor and bad writing in this game. Triple negative. She is more of a headache than a compelling threat. If she was at least a compelling threat, I would be okay with it. But no, she's a fucking simp for Aryan Road, and I hate it. Piss off. Then there's Duke Cayenne's motive and Class 7 not giving a shit, which sounds good on paper, but its execution is just, what the fuck, you know? And, like, at the very least, you could have had something where it's like... You could have at least had something where Green is like, we don't give a shit about your motive, and then Crow just says, nah, let him cook. Come on, guys, just let him cook. Just let him speechify. Hey, we've been building to this moment. Let him have his moment. You know, that would have worked brilliantly. That actually would have been awesome, in my opinion. You know? But no, negative. I honestly would have given that a positive had it not been had that been how that worked, you know? Then there's the fact that Duke Cayenne's plan, which would still be a triple negative, because Jesus, no. Fuck. Like, seriously, how did he think that was gonna work? Nobody was going to take that seriously. After he started a civil war. So yeah, the plot itself is also a negative. Then there's Reen getting cold feet for 10 seconds of despair, or after he boards Valimar, which is just no. Then Dukayan wakes up the Vermilion Apocalypse and Class 7 do nothing for it, leading to the worst cutscene incompetence in the whole series, in my opinion. Seriously, this is after the mech battle. You guys should have been rested enough by that point. I mean, God, you guys suck. Ugh. Then there's the whole ending sequence with the reveal that Osborn is not only alive, but that he's Reen's biological dad. It's not good. Not only did Adger spoil most of this scene, but the actual new info it presents is haphazardly presented. And honestly, that just makes it lame. Considering that this feels like where Cold Steel 2 was originally going to end, yeah, considering there's a full credit sequence here, yeah, triple negative. Negative. And if I had access to my PS3 right now, I would check that, but I do not. So yeah. Which also leads to some bad use of Babylon 5 Effect, in my opinion. This is the first time that I have ever given a negative for Babylon 5 Effect, as I actually feel the story is made worse the second time around, not better, because you see all of the nits in the story after everything is revealed. You know, the first time around you can hold on to it thinking that the reveal will be good, and then the second time around for me it's just blah. Reen's guilt during the epilogue can kiss my ass. Yes, it's really fucking dumb. Osborn's the villain here, not you, Reen. God damn it. Now, I hate to do this, but the race to end all races is a triple negative from a story perspective because it's just more padding. We didn't need to know that Reen, Angelica, Toa, and George miss Crow. This could have just been a scene. This just could have been an extra scene instead of a side quest. We didn't need it. Then there's class warfare. Oh, God. So, this is the biggest example of paying something off without really establishing it. The so-called rivalry between Class 1 and 7 was not explored nearly as much as to warrant a big important send-off like this, and it honestly just feels like a waste as a result. So, yeah, triple negative. Then there's the principal and Instructor Beatrix showing up to challenge Class 7, which just feels wrong to me. I feel like they face Class 7 just fucking cuz, and honestly, no. Triple negative for that. It might sound harsh, but I'm sticking to that. Speaking of sounding harsh, this might sound like a strange thing to complain about, but this is something that has been pissing me off the entire game. The flow of the dialogue is garbage. It feels like every character present needs to have a dialogue, whether or not it makes any sense for it. And it kind of causes scenes to drag on artificially, so triple negative for that. Also, I don't like the dialogue. I think the dialogue in general is absolute trash in my humble opinion. So, negative. Then there's the appearance of the Reverie Corridor, which is lame. It would be one thing if this was an optional dungeon in the post-game, but it is required to beat the game. Like, imagine for a moment that this scene is a New Game Plus exclusive dungeon or something, right? And it activates with the Black Record scene or something, right? You know, or even as we talked about, you know, an optional dungeon that you can trigger its activation during just before the Infernal Castle. I'd be down for that. It would feel kind of derivative of Cold Steel 1, but I would call it a good callback at that point. But yeah, no, it feels like it feels like we have to drag the story to a screeching halt for no reason. And then you combine that with the awful dialogue to justify having all of the party members we've ever had join us for this. It's just... whatever. Then there's the Reverie Corridor itself, having 16 fucking floors of no story. So that was a triple negative for me. Then there's Loa Lucifrea, who is another Necron from FF9. No build-up, no plot relevance, no nothing. He even says in his dialogue that fighting him is completely fucking pointless. I talk about this during the stream of Cold Steel 3, but just because Cold Steel 3 actually does something with the Reverie Corridor does not mean the Reverie Corridor is relevant to Cold Steel 2. Period. And it's made all the worse by calling the fight a good way to send off Class 7 as a class. Fuck this bullshit. It's shit. Triple negative. Also, the lack of sequel-proofing Reen's dialogue before the final dungeon would be easily dismissed if it wasn't blatantly obvious to anyone paying attention that Falcom had more Cold Steels coming. Like, I'm sorry. No. This is something I can hold against this game. Because they planned for Cold Steel 3 to happen. So no, he is front and center. Fuck this bullshit. Triple negative. I am holding this accountable for this because they could have sequel-proofed this. Yes, because they could have said as a class of Thor's military academy, and that would have worked because it's like yeah, as a class of it, like, because that's what they try to do with the whole as a class thing. No. No, because that's suggesting that as a team they're done. They're not. Ugh. God. Then the scene after it is also awful. It tries to have emotional pathos, but it's just fake as fuck. So that was another triple negative. I know I'm handing triple negatives out like candy, but I really fucking hate the Reverie Corridor, can you tell? And I'm just gonna say it, I don't like the ending. Despite the thank you, Sarah, that they give, it practically gives me a reason to hate the whole end of Class 7 plot point. I hate the ending. And then the outro in general, it can just burn in hell. The entire epilogue, despite some high points, is just a giant non sequitur, and I can't stand it. It doesn't cap the story off well, in my opinion. It doesn't work. You literally could have just had a couple of cutscenes at the end of the divestment chapter, and that was it. The Reverie Corridor really fucks this over, because if the entire epilogue had been a couple of side quests, yes, the scene with Toa, an optional scene with, the optional scene with Toa, George, and Angelica, where they miss Crow, and maybe class warfare, I'd honestly be okay with it. But with the Reverie Corridor and Sharon from Love killing the pacing, no. Triple negative to the outro. Worst outro in the series, no question. I cannot even fathom what the hell Cold Steel 4 would have to do to be a worse outro. Granted, Cold Steel 3 tried to be a worse outro, but that's beside the point. Alright, let's get some positivity up in this bitch before we start bitching again, because it is time for some gameplay positives. You'll notice there is no number beside the gameplay positives, because as I showed, net negative 46 to gameplay. But let's get the positives out of the way first. The dynamic main menu from Cold Steel 1 returns, and is a triple positive once again. The music is another 2 pluses, because the music is fantastic. I like this New Game Plus system just as much as I did with Cold Steel 1. Good save system, good extras menu, which lets you see the final bonding events after you have viewed them, as well as the changes in the epilogue without actually having to go through the epilogue multiple times. That's a nice touch, I like that. Master Quartz, Earth's 2 positives. Quartz in general, triple positive for being good kit. The X multipliers are another plus. The core combat remains excellent at 3 pluses. This is enemies fleeing when you are too high level and can be wiped out. That should say can be wiped out on the field, saving time. And when they are weak enough to start fleeing, so that's cool. Fleeing has been as good as it's been since Zero. The combat link system is still a triple positive. I'm rapid firing these. There's no reason to dwell on any of these. Combat link leveling is still good. Rush is still good. Burst is still good. Good spell effects. Good combat animation worth 2 pluses in my opinion. The extra costumes are nice, even though they're New Game Plus exclusive. Good tutorialization. The S-Break is back and is good. It is once again gameplay story integration, full HP on level up for the usual reasons, good info in game warranting 2 pluses, some good quality of life. Also, which is 2 positives again with the same you should prepare before advancing warnings. Good combat interface, counterattack, hit on miss once again. And you can now also unbalance the enemies on counterattack, unlike in Cold Steel 1, where you couldn't. Kind of cool. Good enemy variety. The combat HUD is a triple positive once again. Minimap is 2 positives. Fishing is once again 3 positives because it is the same as it was in Cold Steel 1. Cooking is another 3 positives yet again. And now we get in Rebellion Storm is awesome. I love Towal's S-Craft. The mech battles are fun as hell. They're easy as hell, but honestly, they're the most fun fights in the game, in my opinion. I like the link abilities of Class 7 as they add more strategy to these fights. Fast travel is back, and I decided to give it 3 positives. The Ymir Hot Springs lets you depart Ymir with full HP, EP, and CP. And once you hit the Courageous, there's nothing stopping you from going over to it. Also, resting at Inns restores HP, EP, and 100 CP. So, now, let's talk about my favorite mechanic in the whole game, shall we? Overdrive. So, Burst from Azure was a positive. Overdrive is Burst from Azure, but better. Not to knock Burst, I did give that mechanic a positive for a reason, but Overdrive feels more crafted and designed. It feels more strategic with its limited uses preventing over-reliance on it, and it has a status effect remover for both partners, and it makes cast time 0 while allowing all attacks and crafts to unbalance, adding to the strategy. Also, you are not limited to using it only when the game says so, which was honestly the biggest issue with Burst in Azure. Azure. Okay, hang on. There we go. I worded that badly. Headley, there we go. So, yeah. You're not limited to when it can use it, which was also the problem with not only Burst was not only the issue with Burst in Azure, but Team Rush in both Zero and Azure as well. So yeah, triple positive for that mechanic, which leads to some good viscerality. I also like the paired victory quotes. Those are still triggered when you even with Overdrive, so that's cool. During Overdrive, so that's cool. Good optimization and loot. Upgrading weapons is once again an intuitive. And And which, oh yeah, there's something I should mention here. So these upgrades from the beginning, these upgrades are start being available right from the beginning, and they only require 1 U material each. And the game does seem a lot more generous about giving those than Cold Steel 1. And before that. So, which, even despite the DLC. So, actually, I should word that better. Cold Steel 1 and the Crossbell games. Even despite the fact that the PS4 version just simply gives you all the despite the DLC that the PS4 version just simply comes with. So yeah. Snowboarding is a fun mini game. I like the snowboarding game. It's actually, I can actually control my snowboarding, unlike in, say, FF7. I know, PS1 to PS3, but come on. Alright, trial chests are another thing from Crossbell actually done right. In this case, the monster chests. In Crossbell, they were high-level monster chests that all were... but all they were just high-level, status effect-loving assholes that were barely worth it. Here, they unlock overdrive usage for all characters involved, and feel like there's some thought and design to them. So, good stuff. The Trinity of Till Dawn Gaia in the Terra Shrine, and if you go in during Act 1, is a weirdly fair and not all that irritating fight. And since the shrines are described as like the old schoolhouse, that's honestly refreshing given the irritation some of those fights were. Unsurter over in the Nord Highlands, when you're just which is the fight just before you have to face to complete the reunion with Elisa and Millium, is awesome. It is honestly another fair and balanced fight. I love Sharon's S-Craft. It is Death's Embrace. Flashy, deadly, and damn useful. Abyssdrome is another decent boss fight. Right. Reunion uses his chase battle, as Feet called it. I like that. That was actually kind of a fun race. Then subsequent fight. All of that was pretty cool. Spirit Unification is an awesome move. It gets added into your repertoire, so it's a Hyper Beam moment from both my definition and Lore's. So fuck yeah. Reaning Crow's 1v1 on the Pantagruel. Cool. That's a good fight. Guys, the second S-Craft, Twin Cyclones. For the record, I do not count upgraded S-Crafts like Azure Flame Strike and Judgment Arrow as second crafts. Anyways, I like Twin Cyclones. Looks powerful. And it's just flashy enough to be cool. I like the Goliath mech battle. Because honestly, I feel it's the only mech battle that warrants its own separate positive for being kind of tough, but fun. Wait, Blue Blanc has challenged Class 7 again, and it's not a fetch quest? Holy shit! Okay, jokes aside, I do like the sweetest challenges, as honestly it reminds me of the court sections of the Ace Attorney series, and that's a good thing. Oh shoot, did I put itemization and loot twice? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hang on. Give me a sec here. have a fix if I did. It did, so no worries. We're not lowering the score any further than we have here. I really should organize these better. I did. It's up there. Oh, boy. Okay. I can fix this. I can fix this. Fix this because you know what? You know what? No. I think we will lower it just one more peg. So, negative 39. That sucks. But yeah, I hate myself for that, but there it is. All right, because I screwed that up. All right, what do we got? What else do we have here? Okay, okay, there we go. Alright, so there we go. So Galactic Cannon is next. Millium goes into space and blasts the enemy. And that pose at the end is just adorable. Also, damn powerful. Northern Limits. Limits, good flash and power. I just wish its intro fight was better. The optional boss fight, Volglyph. If that's a fun fight. Even if if his insta casts are a bit annoying. I like Lord Albarion, still an awesome S-craft. Radiance Arc is another cool S-craft. And it fits since Elisa's default Master Quartz is Angel after all. Shadow Brigade is awesome. And it was even hinted at by Rain in the intermission chapter, so that's cool. Radiant Lion's power warrants a plus. Trinity Cannon is cool, and it plays into Machias' love of chess nicely. Zodiac Rain is awesome and flashy. He tastes the rainbow, motherfucker! And speaking of making motherfuckers taste rainbows, Rainbow Shot. God, I love how adorable Rainbow Shot is. And how badass Termination / Dawn is. And it's even more so picturing Cold Steel 3's Reen's Cold Steel 3 look, which is basically what it is. It's just got a different name and a little bit of a different look. I like the final battle against Xeno and Leo. That was a fun time. The final battle against Ordine. It's awesome, and what a challenging mech battle should be. Difficult without being cheap. So, kudos. The final round against the Vermilion Apocalypse is cathartic after the headache of the ground battles. So that's another point for the mech battles. Then there's the Geofront dungeon in the Divestment chapter, being the best dungeon in the game by a wide margin. It is designed in terms of layout, enemy placement, encounter design, party design, power progression curve, the works. God, I love that dungeon. It is so damn good that, ironically, given that quest in Zero, this is the exact opposite of that quest getting a new doll from Zero, because I want to give this dungeon 10 in goddamn positives. That is how much I adore this dungeon. This dungeon is amazing. But my max, sadly, sadly is and always will be 3 positives. The fight against Rena and Altina is another 3 positives because I actually really like that. And then Angular Management is our final well-designed side quest, filling out the positives. Now for the negatives. Oh boy. All right. So let's just get these two out of the way quick. Scaling X still sucks. I've said my piece about the Scaling X. I refer you to my Wolfden proper video on Sky 1 and my rating video for Sky 1 for further details. God, I hate Scaling X. Limited bonding points continues to bug me and only me. And yes, Cold Steel 3 is going to get that same positive. Or same negative, excuse me. So, who's ready for an external continuity gameplay negative? Where the fuck is my stuff from Cold Steel 1? Also, why has my Master Quartz reset its level? This is not the first time this has happened by a large margin. This happened in Sky 2. This happened in Sky 3. Funny enough in a way. And it happened in... and it happens here, and it happens in Cold Steel 3, and it will happen again in Cold Steel 4. And yeah, it's going... The only times it ever did not really piss me off were Sky 2, Sky 3, and Cold Steel 3. Those are the only 3 where it does not bug me. Oh yeah, and I guess it also happened in Azure too. But you know what? I'm at least willing to let Azure slide with it. It is annoying, but it's the Sky 2 thing all over again. It bugs me, but it doesn't piss me off, if you understand, right? But this is one of only 2 times where it will really piss me off. This and 4, ironically. Because, yeah. There is 0 explanation, and it just pisses me right the hell off. Then there's the rapid-fire nature of the tutorials, which makes the tutorialization through combat that was done early seem kind of like, well, why not do the tutorial this way instead of the ham-fisted way later on? It was a triple negative because once you got to the Courageous, you had a rapid-fire cavalcade of tutorials again. Ugh. Triple negative for the accuracy and evasion. You all know how much I hate missing every fucking hit when I shouldn't. Trash has too much HP again. And with the Infernal Castle and Reverie Corridor cementing the 2nd and 3rd trash HP negatives. Also, bosses have way too much HP, to the tune of a triple negative for that. Then there's the Quartet of Irritation, with bad encounters, bad enemy design, bad encounter design, and bad viscerality at times. Yes, viscerality was both a positive and a negative, and I stand behind that. Some audio spam issues. The second round against Orthium can basically piss right off, because I hate bosses that heal themselves, especially as rapid fire as he did. Triple negative for the status effect fetish. I've ranted about that so much I don't even feel the need to explain myself on that. Difficulty curve, yeah. It's less curve and more cliff once you hit Legram, and yeah, even with the mech battles, even those are fun but easy. But the thing is that that kind of contributes to the all-over-the-place nature of the difficulty curve, too, when you think about it. Yeah, even from a gameplay perspective, I thought this was the worst intro in the series. Now, from a gameplay perspective, that's probably... That disgrace is probably going to go to Cold Steel 4. But we'll see. Once we get there. Because even though there's some good tutorialization through the gameplay, it's got boring encounter design, and there's a lot of start and stop pacing, and it just made the intro a slog, more of a slog than it should have been. I think it took me something stupid like 3 or 4 hours to get through the intro, and that's with it just being the prologue. So yeah, triple negative there. Vanish and CP loss surge as annoying as ever. Powerful on-field enemies are once again not worth the hassle. There's a lot of grind for slot upgrades, weapon upgrades, and so on. Walkthroughitis is once again rampant with hidden quests and bonuses. We'll get to a prime example of that later. And a second one mostly for those combat bonuses. Greninja also returns from Cold Steel 1 and is an even worse boss fight here with its faint seal and constant strength and defense buffing. Another thing, really hate that. Speaking of walkthroughitis, the Black Records. They are a prime example of walkthroughitis. They are found out of order, they require backtracking in some cases, and they are also New Game Plus exclusive. They wouldn't be such a big deal if the scene they unlock wasn't A, assumed by Cold Steel that you saw it, and more importantly, what warrants this negative here, since A doesn't really count for the purposes of this scene, the scene is a major character reveal, and hiding that behind a walkthroughitis wall kind of sucks. Backtracking, if you're going for 100%, is annoying in this game. 1 negative worthy. The Force Lost battle against Xeno and Leo is honestly annoying. Here's where we start that trend of the Force Lost battles. Because honestly, it's kind of fun right up until it just ends. And it just kind of sucks. And no game giving me 3 AP when that happens does not make up for it. Which also leads to the first of way too many won the battle lost the cutscene. The flow of exploration, while more rewarding than Cold Steel 1, nevertheless is bad, as there is a bit too much railroading going on. The Trial Chest Emerald Ooze G is an obnoxious boss. That's not much more to say there. The first half of the Arya Shrine is honestly kind of awful. Way too many annoying high evasion enemies, obnoxious enemy placement, and backtracking due to switch puzzles. Yeah, no. The Trinity of Tildon Azu is what I was expecting from the Tildon Gaias. Is back in the Arya Shrine. AoE status moves and spamming them like crazy. Don't like that fight. The required ambush of the Jaegers in the Watchtower Nord is another dumb fight. Zelvenom can kiss my ass. Gordy's Iskanar G can fuck right off. Way too much HP, AoE spam, and a feint fetish. Not to mention the buffs and the million turn problems. Good lord, I fucking hate this fucker. 3 negatives. I really got angry at that fucker. I really did. So, unwinnable battles can soft lock you. This happens if you make a 100% evasion build. The only exception is the one against Xeno and Leo, because that ends once one of their HPs goes below 30. It just cuts to black and it ends, which is the technique that is used by Cold Steel 3, and it is so much better there. The game makes zero effort to warn you about this, and basically you can lose all of the progress from a last save. If you're not saving often, that's a blow. The Force Lost battle against Duvalie and McBurn honestly kind of just feels like the game's insulting you. Then there's my pick for the absolute worst of the forced loss battles. Battles with Rufus, because it's once again it's anticlimactic and feels like you should be able to win at least till Rufus whips out his cheap as fuck S-Craft, and that's just fucking annoying. Then there's the forced loss battle against Ordine and Ymir, which just really is just which is just dumb because that's a complete curb stomp. And I'm kind of sick of it doing that, of Cold Steel 2 lying to me, so. The intermission chapter is also annoying gameplay-wise, and that got 2 negatives, and I also gave a separate negative for the completely unsatisfying as hell boss fight against Duvali and Blue Blanc. Excuse me, I almost said McBurn. Duvali and Blue Blanc. Also, I just gave the forced loss battles in general a triple negative because, yeah, all of the negatives for the forced loss battles in this game, because oh my god. So triple negative for the gameplay padding. I just feel like there's way too much padding here. Pacing is also janky, which is triple negative. Also the railroading. Having to go through Toa's dialogue when you just want to progress the game in Act 2 is just fucking stupid. And yeah, it's a triple negative mainly because the game is trying to make me hate Toa. Just like with Lilith in Borderlands 3. Fuck you, Borderlands 3, for trying to make me hate Lilith, and fuck you, Cold Steel 2, for trying to make me hate Toa. I don't like the Twin Dragons Bridge. It's just a dungeon. I feel it is way too freaking irritating. The pair of Kaiser Dovins at the Twin Dragons Bridge is a triple negative boss fight. I hate it. The Snow Sheep and their boss in Ymir, another bad fight. Hate Freeze Feint and ridiculous attacks on high HP. 2 negatives there. The trek through the Eisengraf can fuck right off. The Jaegers are annoying with their constant healing arts and short casting times, and that just annoys the shit out of me. Region Cough of Type 0 is, by the way, that was the train. If you're like, what the hell's the Eisengraf? That stupid robot that Heidel 6 on us. This can fuck right off. Status effects, respawning ads, powerful attacks, way too much HP, and high defense. Triple negative. Direwolf is another asshole with cheap attacks and heals himself while buffing. God, I hate that fight. Kestel is the only mech battle I despise. I'm hitting the right target, but I only hit every 1 out of 5 times. Fuck this fight for breaking the rules. Triple negative. Sarah versus the Northern Jaegers is a bad fight. Sarah insists on going in alone, but if you haven't been diligently leveling her, and even if you have, sadly enough, her new S-Craft won't be enough to one-shot this fight, and there's way too many of them. Then there's Oryx Fort being another 2 negative dungeon, because I just really did not like that the place, and I felt like the trash mobs were overpowered. I also cannot stand the fight against Duvali and Oryx Fort. Ugh. Once again, way too much HP, cheap as fuck attacks, those fucking Sleipnir, and the relentless nature of the status effects. So, yeah, no. Triple negative there. Reen's Awakener's Call craft is kind of crap. 3 turns of Valimar getting ground combat sounds cool, but is honestly lame unless you go in with over 100 CP. The move costs EP, weirdly enough, and a lot of EP. Holy shit. So attacking and a few crafts is all you have access to, and is honestly a waste. Especially since the rest of the party also disappears during it. So, you don't even get the idea of Class 7 fighting alongside Valimar, which would honestly be kind of cool. You know? Also, you don't even get the Valimar victory pose. You get Reen's victory pose, which is just... What? Triple negative for that hyper fail moment, as I like to call it. As I call it. Magic Knight Heavy Ruby. Yet another buffing enemy that pisses me off. And then there's the Magic Knight Issa Zerial. Worst magic fight in the game. Aim with the same heal and buff shit, mixed with status effects and rapid turns. Yeah. Not a fan of Grianos Aura. Yet another cheap heal while buffing boss. Then there's the liberation of Trista from a gameplay perspective. Oh, God. So, 3 stupidly easy boss fights and that's it. There's no challenge here. There's no threat. You can literally curb stomp fights 2 and 3 with S-Crafts. And yes, I am counting that mech battle, by the way. Hey, that's why I say 3 stupidly easy fights. It's anticlimactic because, again, they sick a Kestel and a Goliath on you on that. So that's like, what? And 2 of the 3 fights are just... Excuse me. Fights 2 and 3 are literally curb stomped by S-Craft in seconds. And even if you don't, they aren't even remotely that hard. It's kind of stupid. And you know what? Yeah, I know that there's an in-lore reason, but that pisses me off even more. It pissed me off in Fire Emblem Fate when Fire Emblem Fates pulled that shit in Birthright, and it pisses me off here. Here. Specifically the boss from Birthright's 25th chapter. Yes, I know the in-lore reason. It's fucking stupid. Sasquatch, the optional monster from Ymir Far Wherever You Are, is like Gordy Ishnar G and can kiss my ass. Gaspard from Saxon Violence. Nixon is another annoying one. Jurgenmond from Jurgenmond Don't Want None. God, Olivier, these puns with these quests. That's another asshole that heals while buffing. Fighting Altina is honestly the start of the game's downward spiral into unfair nonsense. Her ads cause faint way too often. She likes to go invincible, and she gets a million turns. Fuck this fight. Right? Also, boss design in general in Cold Steel 2 is triple negative worthy in my opinion. Just in general. The actual winnable fight against McBurn in the Infernal Castle, I hate it. Just, 2 negatives there. It pains me because I actually remember liking this fight, but yeah, Crow and Vita are a bad boss fight. In the Infernal Castle. Ugh. Another 2 negatives for the ground fights against the Vermilion Apocalypse. God, that fight sucked. Fighting Principal Van Dyke and Instructor Beatrix was another triple negative. God, I hated that fight. Which is also in contrast to the admittedly fair and easy fights against Patrick and Celestin. This then followed by Ferris, Vincent, and Sarifa, which just makes it so that there's a difficulty spike in the middle of a quest. So yeah, Class Warfare got another triple negative. Triple negative for the Reverie Corridor itself. Randomly generated final dungeon. What the fuck were you thinking? The Phantasmal Mirrors being 200,000 mirror each. Wow, what the fuck were you thinking with that? Cool, they sound like a good idea on paper, but they're an overpriced mess in execution. Unless you grind, you're never going to be able to afford all of them. All of them. It's something, I think I did the math, and it's something stupid like 2 million for all of them, or something like that. It's like, and that's dumb. Yeah, you have to grind to a trophy just to afford these? What the fuck, game? On the surface, To Sharon with Love is fine. But what puts it into triple negative territory for me is the timing. You have to A, know it's there, B, not have Sharon in your party to trigger it, and C, leave the final dungeon to go do it. And it's all for a generic talk to NPCs quest. Ugh. So there's Agnagarn, which is another awful boss fight, which is only triple negative territory because of the Reverie Corridor, or making him mandatory. Then there's then I also gave it a separate negative for the Reverie Corridor specific difficulty spike. Then there's Hedron, which is another bullshit boss. Blind Fetish, AoEs, and healing to the point of stupidity. You guessed it, another triple negative. Then there's Loa Lucifrio, which is the culmination of all the issues I've been bitching about all game. Cheap ass attacks, too much HP, adds out the ass, status effect fetish, and this one throws in the ads making themselves immune to physical attacks and casting regen into boot, which just adds to the tedium. Triple negative. Then there's the outro in general, which from a gameplay perspective was just another triple negative. Random final dungeon, pointless and cheap final boss, hidden quest that you have to bend over backwards to do, a New Game Plus exclusive scene you have to go out of your way for, and pacing that is more annoying than endearing. Triple negative. By the way, I start the outro after the divestment chapter. If the divestment chapter had been the outro, the divestment chapter would have made the outro a triple positive, and I mean that sincerely. In fact, I would even go so far as to lump it in with the epilogue if the epilogue did not have the Reverie Corridor, and I mean that sincerely. Also, I gave a triple negative to replayability. I know the New Game Plus is cool, but the thing is that I need New Game Plus in order to enjoy this story, or to enjoy this gameplay, and outside of Overdrive, and that's awful. I hate this game. I hate this game. I didn't even save a clear file on this review. You actually saw me just opt out of saving the clear file. Hell, because I was like, yep, nope. I'll just keep that one because I don't care. I hate this game. If you cannot tell. I will probably never really return to it, except for some of the stuff I will need for when I finally write my series. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is Cold Steel 2. I hope you've at least tolerated my bitching on this, because, man alive, this was not fun to discuss. Thankfully, I get to spend hours upon hours upon hours discussing my favorite game, one of my favorite game of the whole series next. So that'll be fun. Until next time, Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. Later.